Wow. That was an amazing video. There was a lot happening. Welcome back to another Deep Dive with Derek. I'm your host, Derek, but my friends call me D-Rod, here with another Red Reaction. Now, if you want to jump right into the good bits, I got the timestamps in the description below. If you are new here, I'd like to personally welcome you to the channel. On this channel, we go through videos through the lens of meaningful living, meaning and valued living. That is, the tools that we can use to design and live a meaningful life. So we're using filters like mindfulness and resilience, purpose, personal values, narratives, mindsets, basically all the tools that we can use to appreciate the upside of life and learn from and get through the dark side of life. So I'm glad you're here. If this is something you like, consider subscribing for more like this, or you can check out the back catalog if you like. If you've been here before, welcome back. Certainly glad you could make it. Happy to have you here. Thanks for the support. If this is the kind of thing that you like, give me a thumbs up. That lets me know that this is worth doing. So I don't monetize these videos. I think that the advertising and marketing model, advertisement, attention model is fueling maybe some not so good things. So you don't have to, of course, but if you want to support the channel, you can support me with micro donations on Patreon. You can buy me a beer. Again, you don't have to. On this video, or on this channel, I go through videos twice. The first one is what I call a raw reaction, and the raw reaction is as if you sat me down and said, "Hey, check out this video. You need to watch this," and I watched it. That's it. And then I go through a second time. If you want to stick with me through the second time is when we go through and see if there's things that we can learn, things that he's talking about that can add to our sense of meaning in life, and see if there's any lessons that we can learn from the video. So that's kind of the structure here. So without further ado, I'm doing Penitence today with Molly McKenna. I think I'm saying that right. Penitence. I always see patience when I see it and I glance at it. It says patience. It's not patience. It's penitence. So let's jump in. Penitence, Molly McKenna by Ren.
Lately, I think I was over time in my chest, beating slower like
Blood?
the cloudy color of them fading out, fading out. The heavy heart I carried went over your head and over mine.
It'll be another one of those powerful videos, I can tell.
I counted the days she left like a prisoner, etching markings on my skin with an old knife, scratching. You see, I wanted the physical to match the psychological, and yet no matter how hard I dug, I still could not match that pain. I longed for reasons, I sung with demons, I sat in a dark dusty room, barely moving, breathing. I chewed through my own umbilical cord attached to her navel. I wanted to be separate. I think my mind is leaking.
So much going on here. So that is blood from grabbing the rose, right?
I did it to myself. I know that you are faithful. I did it for my health. How come I'm still unstable and falling far from hell? A suicidal angel who's lost my wings and fell, falling so ungraceful, vanished into hell.
I wish that I could stop crying. They say that the body is 70% water. I feel like I must have reduced mine by a considerable fraction. Newton's third theory states that for every action there must be an equal and opposite counter-reaction. And so I retrace my steps and try to find reasons in the arms of my demons, cause I can't find healing if I can't find meaning in conundrum. Leaning on my dom-nom, feelings how the news high, beaming when I hung from ceilings when I run from demons that are living in my head and escape fate and disapparate, evaporate, evacuate and then activate fate. But it cut the brakes, now I'm driving my universe into a lake and away. Weight of the world, don't wait, we make mistakes when it's all a state. For goodness sake, a double take, but I don't want to eat that cake. I ruminate inside meaning to illuminate a dark mind. I communicate without speaking, and I've seen so much I went blind-eyed. Why? I live in a lie with the lion inside. Living a lie with the lion inside of my mind. It's hungry for my sanity, my sanity. I live in a lie with the lion inside. Living a lie with the lion inside of my mind. It's hungry and I don't know why. Pressure drop, deep breath, time stops. A broken, etc. ... Pressure drop, pressure drop, pressure drop. I feel it consuming, I can't stop. ... The lines join the dots and I'm tying knots. Then divide and multiply, square the root of pi, beat the puzzle. I try to keep my mind focused on the line. Hopscotch and pop rocks, I take shots of teardrops. When I drop a pill pop, I find peace and time stops.
Wow. That was an amazing video. There was a lot happening. Awesome. I didn't expect him to start rapping because he had that kind of slow talking delivery in the first verse there. And then he came in with that like quick cadence. Really cool. This Molly McKenna, I hadn't heard of her before, but she sounds amazing. And there was a lot in there. So, I mean, love the piano. I love it all. So let's check it out again, see if there's anything we can learn, anything we can talk about meaningful living. Let's go.
Lately, I think I was over.
This reminds me of some magicians, Penn and Teller. I don't know how they do this, but they have a rose, cast this light behind the rose onto a screen, and then Teller takes and pokes the screen where there's leaves, and then the leaves fall off the rose. That's what I'm checking out here. And then they just had somebody grab this rose or touch this rose.
I think I would.
They didn't show any blood drop, but then all of a sudden, drip, 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 blood in the water.
Just beating so
Rose is dying. Is that love is dying?
like the cloudy color.
This fucked me up. What is going on? This is obviously I can't even talk. This is like who is that? Picasso level shit. So it looks like, is it Ren facing left, and this must be Molly facing us, but they've put those two together. Like, it's her eye and nose and her eye and ear and his nose and mouth. I think. Yeah, I don't know. This is weird.
Of them fading out, fading out. The heavy heart I carried went over your head and over mine.
Sweet piano, nice chill. Some dark notes there.
I counted the days she left like a prisoner, etching markings on my skin with an old knife, scratching. You see, I wanted the physical to match the psychological, and yet no matter how hard I dug, I still could not match that pain.
There's something there. They keep saying regret, and regret is it's an interesting emotion, because on one hand, I mean, there's two avenues you could think about regret. One avenue is once you know the outcome, of course you can regret something. But you have to be careful with that because you couldn't have known the outcome. Oh man, I regret not investing in Bitcoin when it was cheap. That's not real regret. That's just confusing what decision making is. So be careful for those kinds of regrets. If you ever say, man, I regret not doing this one thing, or I regret doing that other thing. Especially if you're only saying that because you know what the outcome is. You have to judge your decision based on the facts you knew at the time. There's a difference between a decision and an outcome. You can have a good decision with a bad outcome. That's just called randomness. You can also have a bad decision that had a good outcome. That's luck. That's probably the most dangerous of all because it's reinforcing the bad decision. What we would want in a perfect world is a good decision leads to a good outcome and a bad decision leads to a bad outcome, but that doesn't happen all the time. Well, there's also a difference between regret and remorse. Usually regret is something you didn't do and remorse is something you did. So I regret not asking that person out. I regret not seeing the doctor earlier, something like that. Remorse is I regret saying that thing to that person. I regret doing that risky thing that didn't turn out. I was using the word regret. That's just how common they are. I feel remorse for doing that thing. So regret is something I didn't do. Remorse is something that I did do. And obviously I conflated those two. So on the other hand, there's an author named Bronnie Ware who wrote a book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And she worked with people on their deathbeds and had a lot of conversations with people. And what she learned, one, most people regretted something about their life. Two, they tended to fall into 5 categories. So one, I didn't live a life that was true to myself. I did what I thought I was supposed to do. I lived a life that others expected of me. Two, I worked too much or I worked too hard. I got to the end of my life and I realized I just worked too much. Three, I didn't have the courage to express myself. I had something to say and I never spoke up. Number 4, I lost touch with my friends and my family members. We're social creatures. And, a lot of these are related. Maybe I was working too much and so I lost touch with my friends that way. But we're social creatures and losing touch with our friends is one of the biggest sources of meaning that many of us have. And 5, I didn't allow myself to be happy. I didn't realize happiness was a choice. I thought I would be happy as soon as, kind of this contingent happiness. I'll be happy as soon as I have a family, as soon as I'm an empty nester, as soon as I retire, as soon as I get a promotion. And then, of course, you get to the end of your life and you say, well, dang, I never let myself be happy. So those are true, real regrets. And her point in writing that book was to let us know now while we can do something about it. So there's a lot more to regret than meets the eye, I suppose, is the point.
And yet no scratching.
Also, I want to see what he's talking about here.
I counted the days she left like a prisoner, etching markings on my skin with an old knife.
Like a prisoner. So, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they count the days. He's doing that in his body, so he's mutilating himself.
You see, I wanted the physical to match the psychological, and yet no matter how hard I dug, I still could not match that pain.
Okay, so that's what he's saying. So the psychological pain I feel from being left. Or maybe he left her, I don't know. Maybe we'll find that out. I didn't pick that up. The psychological pain I feel from this relationship ending, I wanted the physical to be the same thing. So that's why I'm mutilating myself. And no matter how much I'm mutilating myself, the physical pain never matched the psychological. That's how much pain I'm feeling psychologically.
I longed for reasons, I sung with demons, I sat in a dark, dusty room, barely moving, breathing.
Correct. Okay, so that is the very common, what he just described. Let's go check it out again. When you think of meaningful life, meaningful living, there's 3 components to that. One is, if you go really high level, life has to matter and it has to make sense. Mattering is kind of split into 2. So you have to feel like life is worth living. So you have to be living your personal values. You have to be expressing your personal values. So life feels like it's worth living. It feels like life matters. That's today in the present. In the future, a sense of purpose is having something to do with your time that matters. Having something that matters to you that you can do with your time. That's that sense of purpose. It matters. Now then, there's makes sense. The third component of that meaningful life is a sense of coherence. That is, life makes sense. It's difficult to feel that life is meaningful if nothing makes sense and everything's chaotic. So we have this worldview. We've created this worldview, core beliefs, core assumptions about how the world works, how it doesn't work, what should and shouldn't be done, and so on. And when things happen that make sense, we have no problems. When things happen that don't make sense, it shatters our sense of coherence. It shatters that. This is traumatic events. I'm not supposed to get mugged on my way home from work. I'm not supposed to lose a child to cancer, or whatever these traumatic events are. You could think of all the really crappy things that could happen to people. Those shatter people's sense of coherence. And then you ask, why me? Why now? What did I do wrong? What could I have done different? I don't understand. I'm trying to piece together. What he's doing is he's working on his sense of coherence. He's trying to make it make sense.
Doug, I still could not match that pain. I longed for reasons, I sung with demons. I sat in a dark, dusty room, barely moving, breathing.
I looked for reasons. I sang with demons. I sat in this room. I tried to make sense of it.
I chewed through my own umbilical cord attached to her navel. I wanted to be separate.
Now that gave me the sense that he was the one that left her and now feels bad about it. Maybe that's the regret that he's talking about. But in my terminology, that would be he feels remorse for leaving her. There's more blood.
I think my mind is leaking.
I think my mind is leaking, and there's this blood dripping. It looks like blood. It's black and white, but blood in water. Does it do this? I wonder if it does. So this might not be blood. It just feels like it is. And it's all kind of like a lava lamp, kind of sticking together like oil.
Solitude is so depleting.
I did it to myself. I know that you are faithful. I did it for my health.
Did it for myself. I did it for my health. So now I get the sense that she's the one that left him. Even though he chewed through the umbilical cord, maybe that gave her the ability to leave. Chewing through the umbilical cord might be sabotaging the relationship. But she did it for herself. She did it for her own reasons. So it's that classic, it's not you, it's me bit. And she did it for her health. So there was something that wasn't healthy about this relationship.
How come I'm still unstable? I'm falling far from hell. A suicidal angel is all.
Suicidal angel? Is that what she said? I'm falling from hell, a suicidal angel?
A suicidal angel is lost my wings and fell. Falling so ungraceful, vanished into hell.
I wish that I could stop crying. They say that the body is...
Ooh, that guitar comes in. That's like, what does that remind me of? Like, I don't know, like a mix between Clapton and Santana. I don't know. It's nice. It's a nice riff, though.
I wish that I could stop crying. They say that the body is 70% water. I feel like I must have reduced mine by a considerable fraction. Newton's third theory states that for every action there must be an equal and opposite counter-reaction. And so I retrace my steps and try to find reasons in the arms of my demons, because I can't find healing if I can't find meaning and cannot.
So Newton, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's only transferred. So every action has a reaction. Maybe I'm reaching. There's more. This is deeper than it seems on the surface. There's a philosophical, well, there's a philosophy called consequentialism. I think it's that. Is that right? Anyway, there is I think it's consequential determinism. Determinism that says that things, whatever happens, happens. We don't have any say. It's just the laws of physics that play out, and we're just part of that equation. It's an extreme view, and it strips us from free will. So it's a controversial philosophy, but that's what he's saying. So if Newton says every action has a reaction, and I don't like this reaction, I need to trace my steps to see what was the first fucking domino that fell. I need to figure out what happened that led to this, to led to that, that led to this, to led to that, that led to this pain. I need to figure it out. So he's retracing his steps to find a reason. It's up here on the screen. Because again, to try to heal that sense of coherence and also learn. So going forward, I don't make that mistake again. But I want to figure out why it went wrong. So that helps me make sense of it. And it also gives me tools to use going forward. And yeah, so he's saying the same thing that I said. That's interesting. I can't find healing if I can't find meaning. Meaning, in my interpretation of this, is that third component of meaning, which is the making sense of it. I need to find what it means. I need to make sure it makes sense.
Drum, leaning on my dom nom, feelings how the news high, beaming when I hung from, ceilings when I run from, demons that are living in my head and escape, fate and disapparate, evaporate, evacuate, and then activate.
That's weird. That's crazy. This head splitting like this.
Fate, but it cut the brakes. Now I'm driving my universe into a lake in the weight of the world.
This too, like, this looks familiar. I don't know where to place this, but these two hands, and then they split into four. I feel like I've seen that somewhere. I just can't place it. MC Escher, maybe? I don't know. It looks familiar.
Don't wait, we make mistakes when it's all at stake. For goodness sake, a double take, but I don't want to eat that cake.
Hold on a second. The weight of the world don't wait. We make
it's all at stake. For goodness sake, a double take, but I don't want to.
There's always more to his lyrics than you think, right? The weight of the world doesn't wait. I think so. Again, I might be reaching, but it's so. There's this idea that I've seen it several places now. Somebody puts a picture of Earth on the left, and they put a picture of Earth on the right, and on the left underneath it says the world. If you didn't have any problems, the world with your problems, they're the same. Though, like, the world doesn't care. Now that might seem cold. And there's an author named Oliver Burkeman who wrote a book called 4,000 Weeks. The whole point is that we get about, on average, 4,000 weeks of life, if you're lucky, and then you got to go. So how do you want to spend your 4,000 weeks? And he has a chapter in that book called Cosmic Insignificance Therapy, which basically says we think that everything we do matters. If I ask that person out, I might get embarrassed. If I go for that promotion, I might not get it. If I try to start that company, it might not happen. If I try to do this, take a step back. The universe doesn't fucking care. The weight of the world doesn't wait. The world doesn't give any shits. It has no fucks to give. The universe doesn't care about you. Not up here. Now, if you zoom in, though, you can find meaning in life by what you do. But if you can give yourself permission to say, it's easy to get into our heads and think that what we're doing matters to a lot of people. It matters to us. That's important. It should matter to us. But if thinking that if we're not taking chances, if we're not doing things that we would do because we think it's a bigger deal, we can give ourselves permission to let go of that. And we all make mistakes when it's a stake. That's, yeah, of course. Of course, when this pressure rises, that's when we are more likely to make mistakes. So anyway, a lot of stuff.
To eat that cake, I ruminate inside meaning. To illuminate a dark mind, I communicate without speaking. And I've seen so much, I went blind. I live in a lie, living a lie with the lion inside. Living a lie with the lion inside of my mind. It's hungry for my sanity, my sanity. I live in a lie with the lion inside. Living a lie with the lion inside of my mind. It's hungry and I don't know why. Pressure drop, deep breath, time stops. A broken, etc. ... Pressure drop, pressure drop, pressure drop. I feel it consuming, I can't stop. ... The lines join the dots and I'm tying knots. Then divide and multiply, square the root of pi, beat the puzzle. I tried to keep...
Come on. There's so much.
Drop. I feel it consuming, I can't stop. ... The lines join the dots and I'm tying knots. Then divide and multiply, square the root of pi.
Divide and multiply, square the root of pi. So we're talking about math, but do you see the square root of pi much? I can't think if I've ever seen in all my coursework that I've done square root of pi. I don't think I've ever seen that. Pi, of course, this is just math nerd shit, but pi is what relates the diameter of a circle to the circumference. That's it. It's the number that's needed to make those two things work, and it's not a rational number. It never ends. It's 3.14159 blah 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 dot dot dot. Super weird, right? Why is this super weird, like weird number needed to relate a circle's circumference to its diameter, distance around to the distance across? But then that pi shows up everywhere. So it's just a super weird number. But I don't think I've ever seen the square. So the square root says what times what equals pi. I don't even know if there is. I don't know if you could. Because it's an irrational number. So what would be the square root of pi? That's interesting. I'm way into the weeds of this, by the way. Let's move on from the math shit.
The puzzle, I tried to keep my mind focused on the line. Hopscotch and pop rocks, I take shots of teardrops. When I drop a pill pop, I find peace and time stops.
He's talked about that a lot. I pop a pill, because he's on a lot of pills, or he was, and time stops. I feel numb. You know, that kind of thing. Nice. Yeah, that might rise to the top of one of my favorites. Now, this is the last one I got on Demos 2. Demos 2 was a solid record. Demos 1, that one also solid record. They're just so good. I got my list here. Yeah, Demos 2. This one, I think, is towards the top. Heretic, of course, was really good. Ready for You, Diazepam, Crucify Your Culture was good. Of course, Depression, Insomnia, all good stuff. Demos 1, that was really good. This marks the second album that I've completed, so I've listened to two full albums so far. If you want to check those out, please do. Let me know what else I should check out. Let me know what you thought of the song. Is this a song that speaks to you in any particular way? I'd love to know how, and I'd love to know any other artists I should be reacting to, any other songs I haven't reacted to yet. Let me know in the comments. And I look forward to continuing my Ren journey.